class we were seeing about introduction, like what is meant by a cyber security, isn't it? What that particular term means, and actually one or two cases like real time cases also we saw, and what are the terms like what is meant by CAA. So all these terms and what we saw in the previous class. In depth, we will be learning it in the coming modules. Okay. So just I gave the introduction. What is meant by cyber security? What are the different attacks we create? So now in this class, we are going to see the syllabus from the first module. We are going to start it. So before getting into it, here, okay, you can see this slide. Your first module is mainly it is focusing on number theory. Okay, so why do we need that number theory? So that is what that particular syllabus module why we it is required in cybersecurity. That is what we are going to see here. Actually, in the nowadays we are using internet for various purposes, right? So various purposes in the sense we are conducting some business transactions over there. If you wanted to send any money to your friends, or you want to do some online payment, isn't it? Most of the things we are doing it in
Ma'am,
online. Yes.
ma'am, there is some external noise, ma'am. We can't hear you properly.
Okay, one second. Can you hear me now, or still you have the same sound? Students, can you hear me now? One second. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No, whether you are getting that noise now?
It is better.
It's better, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. Because nearby some work is going on, so maybe because of that. Um, right. So we were seeing this, right? So if you see through internet, and nowadays we are using internet for various purposes. Like if you want to share any information, mainly for sharing some informations, we are using it, right? And also like if you wanted to do some online transactions, we are using that. Most of the things, like if you want to do some online shopping, or you want to pay some bills, isn't it? EV bills, or you want to do some tax payment. So all these things we are doing it through online only, right? And also we have apps for different banks, like for Indian Bank here in VIT we have that Indian Bank, isn't it? For mobile also they have given the app, right? Similarly for SBI, for IOB, so for lot of for all the banks they have created a separate app, and we are making use of it. Previously they went to the bank and they use means they were whatever they wanted to do it, they were doing it like for transaction, or for what is that to checking the balance, everything. If they wanted to do, they will do it. At that time the risk was not there, but when it comes to internet, the risk also increased, isn't it? So again, if you see, like if I'm ordering, if Amazon app is itself is there itself, what we are doing for easy going, we are saving our address, isn't it? Also it will be asking each and every time, even though we have not saved our credit card or otherwise our debit card information for payment purpose, each and every time when you do the payment, it will ask, shall I save this data, this information or not, isn't it? So it is better not to save the credentials or that informations in that app, because at any point of time it may go wrong. So when at which time it may go wrong, in the sense, if you are in a secure network, then it won't be a problem. But if you are using some Wi-Fi network which is not at all secure, in your in some public places you are using the Wi-Fi network, or you are moving to some hotels, or somewhere to for stay for 2 or 3 days, they will provide, you might have seen, right? In five-star hotels or all, if you see, like they will provide the Wi-Fi, they will tell that Wi-Fi is free, so you can make use of it. So when we are using those networks and that Wi-Fi, immediately what happens is that some there is a chance of taking the information from our mobile phone, or any devices that we are using that is connected to that particular network, isn't it? So what happened is that security is very much important now. So now what they have done is that we have to give some security. So last class I told you like some of the information. If a person is working in an organization, they have to give security to their data as well as to the clients whoever is working in that particular organization, because then only the client, they will have a satisfaction and they will be providing it if needed for us. They will be providing their information, isn't it? Their informations, they will share their informations having in the mind that their data is secure. Right. So in such a way, we have to give a thought to the people, to our clients, or to whoever it's needed. Right. So for that purpose, what we are doing means, for example, this is one kind of security. Here, if I wanted to send some information to another person, I can send it. Means I can encrypt that message and then I can send it to the other end. Right. So you have the information, like you might have studied those things. When you see person one, user one is there, and you have user two. So I want to send the information to the other person. So when I'm sending the information, that is, if I am sending hello, right? So hello, this particular message sent to the user two. So when I'm sending this information, if I'm sending it directly, this is not a problem, right? So if any some kind of very sensitive information, I want to send it to another person, there may be some intruder or an attacker in the middle who is taking that information. So when it is transmitted, he can he can connect it to this particular path, he can take this particular information, either he can make use of it or he can modify this information, and it will be sent back to the user, isn't it? It will be sent to the user. So this happens. So there is an attacker in the middle, he will be doing all such kind of things. Right. So what we have to do when you are sending the information, some sensitive informations, you can encrypt the messages, whatever the messages you are doing it. Actually, as a user, we won't do it. We are encrypting that particular application, what we are using it for sending the informations or whatever may be, that should be encrypted and then it should be sent. Nowadays we are using WhatsApp, isn't it? So in that WhatsApp we are transmitting some information. What kind of information? Normal text message, videos, audios, everything we are sending it, right? After payment we are sending the slip, so many things we are sending it. So we think that when we delete it in our mobile phone, it is getting deleted, but actually it is not like that. It will be stored in somewhere else, right? So when you are sending the information, they should have means there, that WhatsApp, that particular thing, they have to give a security, they have to give a confidence to the users that okay, whatever the messages you are sending it, that should be that will be safe, means it should be encrypted and it should be sent to the next person. Okay, so here encryption is done, and when it reaches to the user two, that is the other person, the decryption will be done. Okay, so what is meant by encryption? Means it will be in more number of ways it will be done it, but the thing is the readable text will be converted to some non-readable text, means like some way that is not understood by anyone else who is coming in the middle. He also cannot understand what the particular message is. So when it reaches to this particular person, here the decryption is done. Okay, so when it is decrypted, the original message will be sent to the user too, that is the receiver. Okay, so we have to perform that kind of method over here. Okay, so to protect the information, we are going to use this term called cryptography. So if you wanted to use this cryptography, we need to know some kind of basic maths, whatever we have studied in our school days. Okay, there we are having means we have already studied this number theory concept. So number theory, actually it is very important, and it is a very basic one in cryptographic field. Okay, not only in the cryptographic field, you can use it in the other fields like computer organization for security purposes. That's what cryptography. And then random number generation, and for some kind of graphics, some hash function generation. For all these things, number theory is very basic. So we should know about the number theory. First thing is that I will be explaining you here. In today's class, I will write it in the board and then I will explain it. Maybe in the slide I have not kept it. So whenever I do it in the board, you kindly make a note of it. Okay, only the basic as a what we can say in school days, whatever we have studied, that we are going to see. So it's very important for cryptography. Okay, so the second module and third module is about different algorithms we are going to do it to provide security. So for that, these things are necessary. Okay, and we know about natural numbers and whole numbers. So natural numbers means it is a set of numbers which is starting from 1, isn't it, and then it goes on. Similarly, whole numbers, if you see, it is similar to natural numbers, but it starts from 0, isn't it? And we know all the numbers, all the natural numbers, we can call it as a whole number, but all the whole number is not the natural because we have 0 over there, isn't it? So this is natural number and whole number. And moving to factors. So we know how to find out the factors, isn't it? So from here onwards, it's very important. Factors, we know, we have studied in school days. Suppose if I'm giving a number as 8, you want to find out the factors. So how do we find the factors? So factor means that particular any number, otherwise any number which is going to divide the particular number. And if the remainder is 0, then we will tell that particular number is a factor of this number. So if I take 8, you have 2, isn't it? So 2 will divide 8 and its remainder will be equal to 0. So 2 is the factor of 8. Similarly, 4 is also a factor of 8, isn't it? So we can find it like that. Or otherwise, you can see that 10 is there. So what are the factors of 10? How do you find it? We will start from 1, isn't it? So 1, yes, the remainder is 0. And 2 is also 2 also divides the number 10. And 5 also divides the number 0. There is, in between numbers does not divide it, isn't it? It leaves some reminder. So when you see this one, you have 1, 2, 5 and 10. All these are the factors of this particular number. Okay. So now moving on to the board, I will explain you the other concepts. So just make a note of it. So now we are going to see about, we know about prime numbers, isn't it? So we have, using the other programming languages, we have executed what is a whether this particular number is a prime number or not, that we have studied, isn't it? So actually this prime number, it will play a very important role in cryptography. So we should know, we should understand the basics of prime numbers. Okay, so how can you define a prime number? So actually this prime number, they have no other factors except, please take a note of it, all these things are not there because it is mathematical, it's difficult to put in the slide, that's why I'm writing it here. So it's better you can take a note. They have no other factors except for 1, isn't it? 1 and itself. So we can give a definition like this for the prime number, isn't it? Suppose, for example, if I'm going to take, a number as 7, okay? What are the factors of 7? 1 and then 7, isn't it? 1 into 7 means it has only 2 factors, that is 1 and 7, right? So you can see it is satisfying this definition, isn't it? So a particular number, they have no other factors. You can see it does not have any other factors, it has only 1 and 7. So that is why we say 7 is a factor. And what are the other prime number? 7 is a prime number. What are the other prime numbers we have it? So we know all the
13.
2, yeah, 30, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, like that it goes on, isn't it? So now if I ask a question, whether 1 is a prime number, we get a doubt in this, isn't it? Whether 1 is a prime number, no, it's not a prime number. Why we are telling it's not a prime number means, whenever we find a, one second, whenever we find the factors, actually 2 different factors should be there. What are those 2 different factors means? 1 and then the number itself. But when we talk about this 1, it is like 1 and then 1 more. Isn't it? 1 into 1. That is 1. We don't have any other factors for this one. So there is no, it does not have any 2 distinct factors. Okay, 1 does not have any 2 distinct factors. So that is why we say 1 is not a prime number. Okay, so moving on to the next one, that is composite number. Okay, so what is meant by a composite number? How can we give a definition for it? So composite number means other than this prime numbers we have, but we will have some definition also, isn't it? How can you give a definition? Any integer any integer that is greater than 1 and have here 1 and itself, isn't it? No other factors we have. So here it is greater than any number which is greater than 1 and have more than one factor. Okay, see these prime numbers and all will be the you will get it in cryptography when we are doing some problems. So you please remember all these definitions and all. Okay, so I have more than one factor. So this one we are calling it as a composite number. Okay, so let us take any composite number. For example, if I am taking it as 8. Okay, so when you take this 8, what are the factors you get it? So suppose if I write 1 into 8, isn't it? So 1 and 8 are the factors. And same 8, you can just write this 2 into 4. 2 fours are 8, isn't it? So we don't have any other thing. So what are the factors we have it for 8? We have 1, 2, 4 and 8. So it satisfies the definition also, isn't it? So the integer is greater than 1 and also it has more number of factors. More than one factor it has, isn't it? So that's why it is coming under the composite number. Okay, so this is the actual definition we can give it for the composite number. Okay, moving on to the next basic one in maths. So you might have learned about greatest common divisor. Actually, this greatest common divisor is very important here. Okay, so you should know first. I'll explain you with sums. I'll explain you how to do that. So first one, GCD, that is greatest common divisor. Okay, so how can we give the definition for this? Means we have to consider two numbers, right? Okay, let it be A and B. So now I want to find out the GCD of A and B. So GCD of A comma B. GCD of A comma B, we can say it is C. Okay, so C is the greatest common divisor, or C is the greatest positive integer that will divide A and B. Okay, so I can just write this: C is the greatest common, or otherwise greatest positive integer that divides A and B. Okay, so this is the definition we can give. Now coming to the example, how do you find the GCD? For example, if I'm giving GCD of 24, there are different methods are there. So I'll just tell you this method. So 24 and 18 is there. So if I want to find out the GCD, let me take 18. Okay, so how do you write this? So 2 9s are 18 and then 3 3s are 9. So this is one method. Okay, I have found out the divisibles, means what, which one is dividing all these things. Now I'm going to take 24. So 24 and write 2 1s are 2 and 2 2s are 4 and 2 6 are 12, 2 3s are 6. Right. Okay, that's it. Right. So hereafter the same thing only, 3 1s are 1 and here also 3 1s are 1. Now you can write the GCD. Right. Now we are going to find out the common divisors. So 24 and 18 is there. So for 24 it is 2 into 2 into 2 into 3. And for 18 it is 2 into 3 into 3. Now you have to find out the common divisors. Okay. So here what are the common divisors? We have 2 and then we have 3. Isn't it? Others we don't have the common divisor. So you can write it as 2 into 3, that is equal to 6. So this is one way of finding out the greatest common divisor. So the GCD of 64 and 18 is 6. So in any other method, whatever you know, you can find it out and check it. So the same number only you will get, isn't it? Oh, now there is one more method for finding the greatest common division, isn't it? So that is a division method. That also you might have learned it in school days, right? So I'll explain you that GCD by division method. Okay. So how to find out GCD by division method? So here, if I'm going to take how we are going to do it here means GCD of A and B is there. Okay, so GCD of A comma B. First, what you have to do means suppose when two numbers are given, A and B or the two numbers. If two numbers are given, what you have to do first, you have to find out which number is the greatest number. Okay, so whether A is greater or B is greater. So now let us assume B is the greatest number. So now this B will be acting as a dividend. Okay, if B is the greatest number, B will be acting as a dividend and A will be acting as a divisor. Right? Okay. Now here I'm going to write a method. Suppose B is acting as a divider, right? So B inside, and then I'm going to write A over here, right? And then I'm going to write a quotient. So I'm just doing the division method. So some quotient you got it. So let me write some B dash, okay? And you're getting a remainder. So let me write it as R1, right? Means R1 I have written here. Now, what you have to do means the remainder has not reached 0. So what you have to do, you have to continue this. So the next step, what you have to do, you have to take this particular A, that is the divisor, and you have to make it as a divider. Right. So now you are going to take this A and you are going to put it here as a divider. So now A is acting as a divider. Okay. Now again R1 with R1. R1 is acting as a divisor in this place. I'm finding out the quotient and then I'm going to find out. I'm just taking A dash. In the next you are getting one more remainder. Okay. Now what happens? Again the remainder is not equal to 0. So we have to make this particular R1 as a divider. So R1, you get a quotient, and then let us say we get R1 itself. Okay, and finally you are reaching the remainder is 0. Right. So this is the process it is going on. This is the division method. So you should know if you didn't get the remainder, you should take this divisor and you have to place it inside this. Okay, and similarly you have to take this divisor and then you have to place it inside this. So till you get the remainder is 0, you have to continue this process. Now this particular remainder, that is the divisor, will be acting as the greatest common divisor. Okay, now you can tell now R2 now R2 is the GCD of A and B. Okay, so this is how we have it. So if I give the same question, that is the previous one which I gave 24 and 18, the same question if I give it using the division method, how will you do it? So 24 and 18 is there. Okay, which one is the greatest? 24 is the greatest. So that is the first step. So since 24 is the greatest one, I'm going to make it as a divider. So 24, and then here I'm going to write 18. Okay, and we know 18 into 1 is equal to 18, because if I make 18 into 2, it exceeds 24, right? So here you are getting the remainder is 6, right? And now what I have to do, since the remainder is 6, I have to make this 18 to convert it to what? Divide, isn't it? So here 18 comes here, and then I have to find out the quotient. So 6 3s are 18, right? So I'll get the remainder as 0. So now you can see 6. This is the last remainder, isn't it? So the remainder is 0 here. So now this is the divisor. This is the divisor. So you can just tell the last divisor. You can tell that is the GCD of these two numbers. Same answer we are getting. Okay. So GCD of 24 and 18 is 6. So any method you can find it out. Right. Now if three numbers are given, how will you find it? And three numbers also, if you are getting a very big number, so in that cases also it will be very useful, this long division methods and all. And there are other methods also to find out the GCD. So in your syllabus they have given Euclidean algorithm and all is there. So that using that we will be doing it. Okay, how to find out the GCD, because GCD is very important in cryptography. So that's why we are seeing this in detail. So once we see this, then we'll be moving on to this Euclidean algorithm. So now let us see you have GCD of, you have to find out the GCD of 180, 192 and 336. So this is the question we are giving it, and you have to find out the greatest common divisor for these three numbers. Fine. Okay. How can we do? How can we find out that? What you have to do? Are you all following, students? Am I fast?
No, ma'am. We are following.
Yeah. Okay. So what you have to do means, first you have to find out the first. First you have to take the first two numbers. Okay. So I'm going to take these two numbers, and from these two numbers, you should identify which one is the greatest number. Same method only, which is the greatest number. So here 192 is the greatest number, isn't it? So that number will be acting as a divider. So 192, and then as a divisor, I'm placing it as 180. So definitely we know it is 180 into 1, we'll get it as 180. And what is the remainder? 2, and this is 1. 12 we are getting it. So again we have to continue this process. 180. So 12 ones are 12, and then remainder 6 and 0. And now 12 should be, 60, and 12 fives are 60, isn't it? So here we are getting the remainder as 0, right? So the GCD of 180 and 192 is 12, right? Now what you have to do means, you have to take this 12, the number 12, and then you have to take this, the next number. Okay, now we are going to divide 336 by 12, right? So 336, we are going to divide it by 12. The GCD, what you have got it for these two numbers, that you have to take it, and then you are going to divide it by 336. That is the next number. So now 12 into 2 are 24, right? Okay. And what is the subtraction here? You'll get it as 9, and then this is 6. Okay. Now 12 8s are, so 8 is 16, 8 9 96. Right. Okay. So you will get the answer as 0. So here, if you see, here it has not continued, isn't it? Here itself it stopped. Sometimes if you see, it goes step by step. Okay. So in that cases you can identify. So here it stops over there. So now 12 is the divisor. Okay. So you will get it in the proper way, which is divided. Which, if these two numbers are, for these two numbers 12 is the divisor only, so the same will be, you can find it for this. Okay. So this is for GCD of 3 numbers. So I'll give you one number. Can you find it out and tell me what is the GCD? So I'll give you one example. Just note it down: 224, 256, and 352. So this is the example. You just write it and tell me the GCD of these three numbers. If anyone got the answer, you can share it.
32.
Ma'am, it's 32.
Yeah, good. That is 32. Good. Who is that? Can you give
Sasi
your
Kumar,
name
ma'am.
also? Yeah, good. So for the other students, I'm just writing it. So 250. First, I'm taking these two numbers: 256, 224. So you will get the answer as 224 ones are 224. So you'll get the remainder as 32, and then 224, 7, that is 224. So 224, you will get it as 0, right? Now this 32, you got 0 here. This 32, you have to divide it, means you have to divide 352 with this 32. So 352, 32, 32 into 1 are 32. So 3, 2, again 32, 1, 30, 0. So 32 is the common divisor. 32 is the answer. It is the common divisor for this greatest common divisor for these three numbers. So similarly, any number of digits it is given, you can find it out. Right. Okay. The next one, it's again a very important one, which you have already know, that co-prime numbers. Okay. So we have learned what is meant by a prime number, isn't it? Now you should know what is meant by a co-prime number. So what do you mean by co-prime number? Means a set of numbers. So with this topic, I'll be completing the class. Set of numbers that has the GCD. Just now we studied GCD, how to find the GCD, isn't it? Set of numbers that has the GCD as 1. Okay, that we are calling it as co-prime numbers. A set of numbers that has the GCD as 1, we are calling it as co-prime number. For example, if I take 5 and 6, okay, example 5 and 6 is there. So first thing what we have to do means we have to find out the factors of 5 and 6. So for 5, what are the factors? We get 1 and 5. For 6, the factors of 1 and 6, isn't it? So in this, if you see, the common divisors are 1, 1, isn't it? So the greatest common divisor is 1. So that is why we are telling 5 and 6 are co-prime numbers. Okay, 5 and 6 are co-prime numbers. Actually 6 is not a prime number, isn't it? But when we combine with the other number, when we see whether it is a co-prime or not, you have to find it in this manner. So we have to check whether 5 and 6 is a co-prime or not. How do you check it? First you should take 5 and you have to find out the factors, and then for 6 also factor. And what is the common factor you have to find out? That is 1. So the greatest common divisor or the factor, if you see here, it is 1 only. So let me say the properties of co-prime numbers. If you see, like the first property is first property, we can say all prime numbers are co-prime numbers. Here, okay, all prime numbers are co-prime numbers. So here, what we can say, for example, 2 is there and 3 is there. Okay, 2 is a prime number, 3 is also a prime number. So if you see the factors, so here for 2, you are getting it as 1 and 2. For 3, you are getting it as 1 and 3. So here the greatest common divisor is 1. So that is why we are telling all the prime numbers are co-prime numbers. Okay, so now the next property is that whatever the prime numbers you take it, that will be the same. Next property is co-prime need not be a prime numbers. Okay, so co-prime need not be a prime numbers. So here, for example, sorry, not that one. The next example I'll give you. For example, the property. Sorry, property. The sum of any two co-primes co-prime numbers will also be co-prime with product of the same two co-prime numbers. Okay, so here they have told the sum of any two co-prime numbers will also be co-prime with product of same two co-prime numbers. The meaning is that we are going to take two co-prime numbers. Okay, let me take the prime numbers. Here 2 and 3 is there, isn't it? So 2 and 3 we are going to take. So sum of any two co-prime numbers. So what is the sum of these two co-prime numbers? 2 plus 3, that is 5. Isn't it? Sum of any two co-prime numbers will also be co-prime with product of same two co-prime numbers. Product of same two co-prime numbers means for 2 and 3, what is the product you have to see? 2 3s are 6, isn't it? So we have 5 and 6. So these two are also the co-prime numbers we are taking. So just now we saw here, isn't it? Right, the sum of these two numbers, any co-prime numbers I have taken, the same numbers product also I have taken. So the answer result what I am getting it, those two numbers also will be the co-prime numbers. Okay, so that is why we are telling that this also be the co-prime. For example, if I take the other examples, like if it is not a co-prime number, here or here if you see this is a prime number and this is also prime number. Here this is a prime number and this is not a prime number, right? So I'll give you one more example, that is 5 and 9. Okay, here this is a prime number, 9 is not a prime number, isn't it? So here when I find out the factors, for 5 I will get 1 and 5. For 9 I will get 1, 3 and 9, isn't it? More than one factors I am getting it. But even though if I get more than one factors for 9, the greatest common divisor is 1 only. So now here also 5 and 9 are the co-prime numbers. Okay, so next one, okay, I think we can, the time is up. So we can stop here. We'll continue in the next class. Okay. So I'll download the attendance. Students, in today's class, you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So have you taken the notes? Please, this example sender, kindly take the notes. I cannot put it in the slide. So that's why I'm keeping it in the, I'm using the whiteboard. So I request the students to take the notes. Okay. Okay. Thank you, students. We'll see you in the next class. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.